Today, we're going to weigh what we know so far about the three options for the weapons program that will eventually replace the M16 family of weapons. The Army is looking at a 6.8mm next generation squad weapon, or NGSW, not to be confused with NSFW, which is something I frequently am told to stop looking at on my office computer. 6 companies will battle it out for the deal. There can be only one. Who will win out in this winner-takes-all battle for billions of government bucks? And while we can't be in the room playing armchair general making those calls, what we can do is look at everything we know so far, the 3 very different weapon systems that are being pitched to Big Army. I'm doing this video because there seems to be a big interest when it comes to news on the 6.8mm, and I wanted to gather all those details, those thoughts, the leaks, those releases, and put them all in one place, one video update for you. Technically, this isn't a replacement for the M4. The Army is going to procure 100,000 of the new weapon systems from one of these 3 prototypes by 2022. They're going to see how that works out before getting married to it. The Army's last relationship with a weapon was like 60 years long, so this is kind of a difficult transition for them, even though they've been seeing other weapons on the side for years. I'm looking at you, FN Scar, home wrecker. The bids come from Sig Sauer, General Dynamics, Tron, FN America, and PCP Tactical, which has the honor and distinction of having the worst named of all 6 companies. What should we call our company, Jerry? Oh, I don't know, what's that drug you really like? That's PCP. Great, now throw the word tactical on the end of it, and let's get out there and make a damn rifle. First, let's dive into Sig Sauer. I'll say right off the bat that this is the bid that won my heart and turned my opinion from there really isn't any reason to replace this weapon system we currently have to full-blown, let's do this thing yesterday. The M68 from them is the M249 replacement. And this submission is at its core about the new advanced ammunition and the energy it brings to the table. The proprietary new round is a steel/brass hybrid instead of the plastic-cased ammo that the other companies are bringing to the table, and also instead of the just regular brass rounds that you've seen in the past. The base of the ammo, where the primer is struck, is made out of steel, and this allows them to have a more reliable rounds with higher lethality. The energy can be increased dramatically because of this steel base. Now the rest of the ammo case is still brass like your regular brass that you're used to, with a clip inside that connects the two. Sig claims that the energy is increased by a factor of 50 to 60%, while still reducing the weight of the ammo by 20%. The advantage to going with them is it won't disrupt the ammo manufacturing industry, because places will be able to easily adopt the creation of the new type of steel-based rounds. The machine gun has, for too long, been way too heavy, especially for people with spaghetti arms like me. I'm Italian, I can say that. Now, the M249 and the M240 weigh more than our enemy's counterparts for the weapons, which is like the PKM. So now that this new machine gun is 12 pounds while still reducing the level of recoil close to that of an M4. Sig has not mentioned the recoil on the carbine version, and if it's able to reduce recoil effectively with that 6.8mm round still. Another advantage that the Sig bid has is that it's the most similar to the M4 platform, which would mean much less shock to Joe when he goes up and picks this thing up for the first time. We all know Joe would look at a bullpup rifle and not know which way to point the barrel for at least a few years. Now, the new optic from Sig Sauer that comes along with this weapon has some really impressive capabilities. Up to 1,200 meters out, you can first laze the target, and then the system will put your first round on target right after that. And that sounds like zeroing on the fly and no more Kentucky windage, then you're right, that's amazing. Be able to hit the target out past what you originally zeroed to. The military has held the position that they would not replace the M16 until there was a significant enough leap in technology to warrant the massive cost. And I think with these rifles, we're getting closer to that point of justifying it. Now, Sig worked up a replacement for the M240 as well. The number one feature on the replacement is the .338 round. I guess they figured it wasn't fair to up the firepower of this 5.56 to the 6.8 and not also replace the 7.62 with something more powerful. The .338 falls between the 7.62 and the 50 caliber, and this prototype, while firing a larger round, still only weighs 19 pounds, which is lighter than a 240. This is a very exciting update. General Dynamics is also working on a .338 replacement for the M240. The energy on target is similar to a 50 cal. Rebecca, can we see some badass General Dynamics footage on what the .338 would look like in action? Yes, if you use this moto footage to get a good idea of what it's like to be in the Army, you will definitely not be sorely disappointed. Expect to drive around in high-speed ATVs all day instead of painting rocks. Day in and day out, you'll be carrying a large machine gun around and it will be in slow motion, so it looks really light and easy to do. Your Kevlar will stay perfectly in place while your squad looks like they all just got done winning Soldier of the Year award. Are we sure they aren't carrying PCP weapons? Because those explosives are going off right next to them and it's not phasing them at all. That's the PCP advantage right there. Take some of that and you're good to go. The enemy won't know what literally bit them. Next up is the Tron. We're back to plastic rounds here. And that'll save you about 40% in ammo weight, but I'm heavily skeptical about the reliability of this plastic ammo. The new design, they claim, will not fold under heat. They have a similar carbine to the M16 family. The problem I'm having, though, is getting past this strange bulkiness of the weapon. I can't understand why it looks so damn unwieldy. Even though I haven't held the thing, I can assume it must be lighter than the M4 as per the development requirements. Just because something is lighter doesn't mean it's easier to use. First thing I can think of is how annoying it would be to mount your PEG-15, your optics, your flashlight, etc., and then some kind of underslung grenade launcher on that, and then try to sit in an MRAP or a striker. Good luck fitting in a vehicle or easily getting yourself unstuck from every single wire in that vehicle while you trip over yourself while you're trying to get out just so you can go to the bathroom only to get back in and go through all the wires again a minute later. Before we go into the next bid, let's go over some questions you might have about what the Army notice requirements originally were to these companies. In 2010, Congress initiated an investigation into the performance of the M4. They wanted to see what its pros and cons were and if they had a good reason to replace it. The summary of the report says that while there's been some concerns raised about the M4's reliability and lethality, studies suggest that the M4 performance is viewed well and favorably by its users. However, the Army is undertaking the individual carbine competition to conduct an open competition among small arms manufacturers for follow-up weapons. The small arms capability-based assessment found that many of the problems facing the M4 was solved by changing to a different improved ammo type and better optics and more reliable magazines. It's true that many feed issues with the M4 can be traced back to unreliable magazines. However, even though the M4 has a lot of love for it among the branches, the military is looking to replace it in order to have it overmatch capabilities going into the future. This weapons development program will cost $10 million the first year and an estimated $150 million a year after that. The rifles need to be able to deliver a high pressure test round loaded 20% higher than normal pressure. This is so that they can stress the rifle barrel and breach during firing. Lastly is the General Dynamics bid, which is significantly different than the others. They're going for a bullpup design with their weapon. This means a longer barrel while still being shorter because the firing mechanism has been moved to the rear of the rifle near the buttstock, right where you place your face, which probably isn't fun to fire when the rounds are going off right next to your face. Now they're going with an entirely polymer case for the ammo as opposed to the steel base or the telescoped ammo from the other competitors. So each developer is coming to the table with a different style of ammo or a different weapon entirely. Developed separately from General Dynamics in partnership with True Velocity is the polymer cased ammo, which will save a lot of weight. It's revolutionary. If what Sig Sauer is saying about their steel-cased ammo is true, I'd still be leaning towards them. Which development bid do you like best? Which design do you think will win out with the military and the all-seeing, all-knowing Army top brass? We'll have to wait and see which one of their old skull and bones friend they decide to throw the procurement money to.